Welcome back to the Chow Time Pod. It's your host, Red. I got a video today of Jetta and MLD. MLD came on the Jetta show. He is modern life dating. He was the one that coined the phrase money, muscle, game, frame. So he knows what he's talking about. He's been a passport bro for quite a long time and helps a lot of men understand dating and just themselves and how to better themselves. So I think this is a body count debate, and I really liked how they discussed it. So please like and subscribe down below. I'd really appreciate that. And let's get to the chow. It's chow time.
Talk to you about the body count and the whole virgin debate. Why do you think women have such a hard time understanding that their body count, if it's high, is just going to be negatively viewed by a guy? Why can't they process and internalize that reality?
I think they do understand.
I agree with them.
I think instinctively they know, like, that's why across the globe they all lie about it. Mm-hmm. I think they inherently know.
Why don't they change their behavior then?
Because there's been no consequence.
Because they're not happy, right?
No,
so it's like,
that.
Okay, you're not happy. You know this is not making you more appealing to a guy. Why are you doing it then?
I mean, I think it's like engaging in consistent casual sex is like, it's like using drugs. Like it's fun, it's good in the moment, but then the repercussions come later. You know what I mean?
It's not fun for a lot of girls though. I'm telling you, even in the moment, because women, like if you're not.
I mean, women always say they don't climax. Like very few women actually climax through all of this casual hookup. So yeah, I agree. What's the point if you're not actually climaxing? If guys went out there just having sex with women and never came, I don't think guys out there would be doing that.
Pairing emotion with that, and you don't feel safe in that, it's not fun for us.
There's a lot of damaged girls out there though. You know, there's a lot of them engaging in a lot of these bad behaviors. But I can just tell you, like, guys are just absolutely, like, we are biologically repulsed by it. Some dudes will be like, oh, it's okay, doesn't matter.
Can you explain that? Because what happens is folks on the other side will say, oh, those are just insecure guys.
Right.
Those are guys who just can't handle that, you've had that you've had your pick of the litter. And my argument, but I'm saying it, I'm not a man, but my argument is like, no, it's just nasty, A, and B, they don't want to think about the fact that you, A, don't have enough self-respect to be particular about who you share your body with. B, you may wind up bearing their child one day, and now he's going to look back and know that you were like open like 7-Eleven all night. Not cute. So
that was rough. That was pretty harsh on 7-Eleven open all night.
I think and guys are visual. They don't want to visualize that you've been with all these men. There's a nastiness to it. Yeah. So is there an insecurity component though, you think, that guys will feel like, oh, she's too hot on the market. She's going to stray. Is that part of it?
I think it's not. I mean, in our modern culture, like anytime a man has a preference, they're just like, oh, he's just insecure.
Yeah.
Right.
And it's like, no, I have a fucking backbone. Like I have things that I want. And I see a lot of girls, like all the girls yesterday got triggered when I started talking about body count,
those numbers must have been sky
I
high.
mean,
I'm not going to say they were, but I'm not going to say they weren't. What would happen?
Yeah, the girls I feel like that have the most issues when us men bring up body counts are the women that have the highest of body counts where us men would already take them off the running. And this is why they have an issue with it, because they've already reached those numbers and are starting to realize, oh, shit. And they're trying to shame men and still accepting them even though they have those high-ass numbers.
What happened if we put those body counts on their forehead like Tate said? I would have loved to see that. Imagine you could just have women sitting there, hot minute, and I hit a button and the number just pops up in neon.
Boom.
I'm telling you, that app is coming. That technology is coming.
Oh, let's do it. Maybe I can pitch that to PBD. That would be great.
But yeah, like the body count, the thing is like, it just adds a lot of, how can I say, like, we just are very unsure of her choice making. You know what I mean? And like, just biologically speaking, I don't know, I'm just repulsed by it. And most men are. It's like men across the globe.
It just is.
It's not like just like a conspiracy, like we're all meeting behind the scenes, like, okay, like, these
I
girls.
swear this is what women literally think, that we're all the guys are like, yo, what's the number for hoes? 10 plus. Like, no, it ain't like that.
Those are hoes.
How high is too high? Is there a number where you're like, oh, that is like, you would, if a guy came to you for coaching and was like, my girlfriend is 25, has a body count of, is there a number where you'd be like, listen, I'm going to be honest with you, that's high?
Well, I mean, honestly, I think anything north of 10 is just what
Somewhat
have you been
agree.
doing? Where did your father
At any age, by the way.
Did your dad not hold you when you were little? Like what happened, you know? But the thing is, I mean, a lot of women get triggered by this, but yeah, like women need to understand that men have standards too, and you need to respect that if you want to engage in a relationship with a man, right? We are human too. We have desires. Just like women are repulsed by a guy that has no job.
Right.
If he lives at home with his mom, they're like, oh, I'm repulsed by that. A guy looks at a woman, she's like, well, I've been with 70 dudes. Be like, oof, well, I'm going to go to the doctor. Like,
yeah. And by the way, it's flipped in the sense that, if a woman hears that a guy's, slept with a lot of people, she just doesn't care. She just doesn't. You ask them all the time and they don't.
Yeah.
But if a guy heard about a woman and she lived at home with her parents, he would be like, oh, okay. That wouldn't be a complete turnoff for him. That wouldn't be like if she worked at McDonald's, he'd be like, okay, cool. You're a great person. You're really nice. So this is, again, at the underpinning of this is a refusal to accept that men and women are different. And because women don't care about a man's high body count, now they want to put that on guys and say, well, we don't care.
Yep, I wanted to touch on this right here. So women want the benefits of men. They want all the things that men can do, but they also put the things that they think and do on men of their caliber. Men don't care what you care about, and men, just because you don't care about it does not mean men don't care about this. This is the part where women are very confused. Yes, now women are becoming men, are doing everything that men can do. They can sleep around like men. They can do all these things. But again, you're not the same as men. It affects women differently. And women are not willing to admit it, but because women don't care this about men, they want to project this onto men for us to not care this about them. That doesn't work that way, women. Like, if you have your own standards, and most women have these very similar, they don't really usually care about body count for men, you cannot project that into men. Just like how women are so much better at emotional warfare and emotional, conversations than men are, you just can't expect men to pick it up. It doesn't work that way. But just because women are seeing that they can pick up things that men can do, I think they are confused that men can pick up things that they do that they are automatically good at off the bat. It doesn't make sense. It's like saying, oh, you don't give birth? You should know how to give birth. You should be good at giving birth too. And it's like, no, I can't even do that. And it's very similar to the subjects we're on, like body count. No, I cannot just ignore it. It's so wired into my brain that I cannot just ignore if you just had 100 people that you slept with. I cannot ignore it. It just screams in my head, just like things screaming in your head when you meet a short guy.
So you shouldn't care. And I'm like, honey, you're not a man. Mm-hmm. They're looking at different things. They prioritize different things. Right. It's wild. Yeah. But now the virgin conversation is interesting to me, though. Is there any part? So I don't know. Would you marry a virgin?
Yeah, why not?
Okay, so this is what gets told to me. This is the pushback that I hear from guys that say, oh, I would never want to marry a virgin, because they feel that woman is going to have to sow her oats at some point. Like, she's going to be with you.
No.
And then she's going to have to go through the phase of the experimentation.
It's retarded. Like, no, like women are not inherently whores. Like,
I agree.
They don't want to go out there and do this. I know a girl that's like a 36-year-old virgin, right? She's just waiting.
Religious, or because sometimes that's a consistent.
Religion absolutely has a component to do with it, for sure. I don't think she's religious, but I think she's like a casual Christian.
Okay,
you know what I mean? But going back to like the whole body count thing, the data just shows it too. Like marriage statistics, right? The more partners a woman's been with, the more likely she's going to have a divorce. Mm-hmm. The more likely she's going to cheat. And the more likely she's going to be unhappy in that relationship.
Even though we bring up the statistic and this data up all the time, women still want to argue against it. And these are actually cold, hard Facts.
So the data is just clear as day. Why they're engaging it, I mean, it's the same reason like sometimes people are like, I'm just going to eat McDonald's. I know it's bad for me, like whatever.
Yeah.
They're not really thinking long term. But the whole thing though with the body count is it's just not okay. You could make it work depending on the person, but you have to be like really mature and like sit down and like really cope hard with it. But the ideal is guys don't want to deal with it.
I always tell guys, if you found yourself a really good woman, a high quality woman, and you're still worried that she's going to need to sow her oats, you're not sure about that woman. Because I never had that chip.
Yeah, exactly.
I never had it. Like
Exactly.
it just was not in me to be promiscuous.
Right.
I couldn't do it. Like even mentally when I would try to look around and be like, well, all my friends are doing it. Why can't I could not do it.
Yeah.
So there are women out there that could absolutely marry the first person that they have sex with and never need to sow those oats. So I always say, if you're wondering about that, maybe you don't have the woman that you think you have.
There's no data supporting that a woman must go through this hoe phase. That's an exclusively American thing. But another thing is this too. When a woman has hoe friends and the hoe friends find out that the woman is pure, those hoe friends are insecure about her and they're going to be like, no, you go out there, sleep with this guy. Like, go out there.
I lived through that as well.
I
lived through. It's interesting. I grew up in.
Can you elaborate
New York
on
City.
that? Because people think I make that up.
No. I grew up in New York City, and I was a good girl. I was raised like that. My parents were very like your body.
This is why they say birds of a feather flock together. It's just hard for one bird to not be part of that flock and do the same things that flock does. It's very hard. This is why men judge so harshly on groups of friends and things like that. And women seem to not fully understand this.
Body is your temple.
Right.
I just didn't want to be, I didn't want to have sex without emotion. That was not something that I was interested in at all. I remember a period in my early 20s, I was actually working. I went, got my master's. I loved education. I thought I wanted to be a college professor for a while. So I was like, oh, this is cool. I'll have a super flexible schedule. I'll have like a lot of downtime, which was really a priority for me, honestly, always. I decided to leave that and I worked in the bar scene for a while, which is interesting because I don't drink.
It's good money.
And I'm not promiscuous.
What did you do?
I was a cocktail waitress.
Wow.
And I was not in the scene. Right. And I had friends that were very much in the scene, very kind of like living that early 20s. Oh, I'm going to sleep with this guy, that guy, having fun with it.
Haram.
And I got so much pressure. Like, what's wrong with you? Like, you need to be living. Now's the time, all of that. And every time I would even say, well, maybe they're right. I would go to do it and I couldn't, it just wasn't in me. It felt so unnatural that I was like, this is not for me. I'm not doing it. I'm not. But there is a ton of pressure. And that's why I always said, I did a red flag show the other day. And I said, if you're with a girl and she's got a ton of single female friends that are out there, girls night out, slappy, all that, it's going to be a problem.
It's true.
Story time. This is most likely the reason why my ex-wife left. So my ex-wife was a housewife for a majority of our marriage, and probably the last few years she started working at PetSmart. And she made a lot of new friends, a lot of single friends, and a lot of single friends that are like in their early 20s. And she's almost in her 30s at this time. And they go out a lot. And she wants to go out a lot with them. And I'll let her go. And then she would have this bad feeling that she's doing things that I don't approve of and stuff. And because I don't really enjoy going out to do these things in my personal life. But I know my girl, she's pretty, at least I thought I knew her. She was pretty faithful. And so I let her do whatever she wanted to do. And she was feeling a way about it herself. I didn't feel a way about it, but she was feeling guilty that she was. And then her friends were constantly wanting her to go out, and she felt guilty having to tell me or not, or having to tell me and I tell her no, and then she'll have to cancel it with them, and then she feels bad that she can't go with them. Right? So this is my fault here. This is me not knowing well enough at the time. I knew about bad friends and stuff, and I knew how this stuff works between women, but I didn't realize these women were like bad mouthing me and stuff in front of her, and just kind of like, oh, he doesn't want you to go do these things all the time. Like, who cares? Go do them anyways. Like, she would tell me some of these things, and I'm just like, just dumbfounded in my mind. And as time progressed, I think the friends won over me in a sense, and so she left because she wasn't happy and she wanted to explore and she wanted to, you know, go out and do things more. Because I'm a bit of a homebody myself, especially because I work a lot, and I'd rather just, if I'm gonna work a lot the way I used to work, I'd rather just not spend money and go out that much. But yes, I actually experienced this with my ex, and yeah, I actually, when I start dating women now and I meet their friends or I see their friends and their friends are scantily clad and just like to party all the time, it's almost a big turn off for me. So
trashy. I mean, I'm sorry. Like they were telling me yesterday, one of the girls was outing herself as a hoe. She was saying like, you know, so you're gonna date a girl that's 18. She's like, how are you gonna take her to the bar and go drinking? I'm like, I don't date women that drink like that.
Yeah, same.
I don't look at a girl and be like, oh wait, so you can't drink? All right, well, you know, I got to cancel this whole thing. I personally believe that a woman who drinks, I just can't do it. Like, I'm the degenerate in the relationship. So she needs to take care of me and my degeneracy. And I'm just saying, like, I go out and drink once in a while, right?
Yeah.
I don't drink at home. I never do. My vice is Domino's. Right, so
it's not a bad vice, honestly.
I don't drink.
My vice
home.
Is beef jerky. Just saying, grass fed.
That's not even a vice.
That's as bad as it gets. So yeah,
but yeah, like the whole argument of like, you know, she needs to drink, she needs to be part of this drinking culture, and it's like, what? Literally, break it down. What is the positive ROI of your woman consuming alcohol in the relationship, or going to a bar and having girls' night out? Everybody knows when you drink, bad shit usually happens. You wake up, you're like, oh God, how much money did I spend? Oh God, like, you know, what did I do last night? Why am I on this sofa?
All right. I literally have friends like this. Like I have 2, 3, 4 good friends that drink a lot. I'm the designated driver because I don't drink much. I'll drink maybe like one beer, one shot, and that's about it. And then I'll just relax for the rest of the time, and then I'll sober back up real quick. But yeah, I have friends that spend massive amount of money. They black out. They don't even remember what happened that night. Like, what benefit does that have? I really don't see any benefit. Like, I tell my friends all the time, like, you need to fucking quit this shit. You're fucking old now, and your liver's not gonna give in. It's not as pristine as it once was, you know? So, and actually we've had a friend pass away from liver disease because he drank so much. At our age, we're 36, 37 now, and it's sad. This is the sadness that the degeneracy of drinking and all of this happens. It puts you in an early grave.
Some type of regret that comes into play. Yeah, I wasn't, you know, it's funny with the drinking too. I could never stand the taste of alcohol. And Same. I would like force myself sometimes, even in like the college days or post-college, to have like that sip of this or that sip of that, but it just wasn't. And I would look around and
one thing I did notice, like the higher end liquor is a lot better. Like tequila, oh my God, that shit is disgusting to me. But like a Class Azul, I can drink that all night and I'll be perfectly fine. It doesn't taste bad at all. It doesn't give me that nastiness. So I've noticed that higher end alcohols do taste a little bit better, but still, yeah.
I'd be like, wow, these girls are just losing their minds, man. It's just, and I actually got a lot of heat at one point. I left college. I'm very open with the audience about my life. I wound up when I left college, I had only, you know, had one boyfriend at that time. I didn't do any of that when I was young.
Congratulations.
One boyfriend, which is like, I'm like a relic now. People are like, one, what were you doing? Oh, you missed out.
I respect that.
But he was away. Like we had, for a period of time, there was long distance and you know, it was a little bit rocky, like, because I was not designed for long distance. And I remember my friends being like, oh, just go out. And that entire year, I didn't
shitty friends
hook up with anybody. I was no way. And I always say, if you've got tunnel vision for a man, you're not looking to do this and that. Like, it doesn't work like that. And that's why when you brought up my husband, I was like, there's no amount of money. I mean, my husband is like, I got a diamond. I'm not messing with that. Like, you're not gonna. There's no doing better than what
beautiful.
I got.
I love it. I love it. I mean, I think
too.
You know, this is not to like brown nose you either, but I think like you're a really good role model for women, because the average role model for women nowadays are like literal whores.
Yeah.
Like Kim Kardashian. Like, literally a whore from her sex tape. Yeah. Nicki Minaj, Nicki Minaj not light with Cardi B. Like you have chicks that are like literally spreading sexual degeneracy. Yeah. And guys just like, oh, well, this is great for me. But those guys work at 7-Eleven. Yeah. Like quality dudes. Because if you look at the upper echelon of society, I think 5 out of 6 millionaires are married. You know what I mean? These men understand that they want a good woman that can hold them down. Because men and women are supposed to be together, right?
I 100% agree.
I've achieved high levels of success myself, right? And this success, it kind of feels empty if you don't have someone to share it with. You know what I mean? Especially
100% agree. I 100% agree. Success is awesome. Money's awesome. No one to share it with feels empty.
Especially somebody you love. Men and women are supposed to be together. We're not supposed to be at each other's necks.
That's right.
And I think that it's really important for men and women both to like realize this and come together.
Yeah, I agree. I'm going to get to the chat in a second. I'm going to do Rolo's tweet first. So we're going to respond to, I pulled some stuff off Twitter that I thought would be interesting that you might have an opinion on, which I know you'll have an opinion on. Do you know Rolo?
Rolo is a great friend of mine, and he's a big reason why I'm here.
Yeah. Rolo's, it was funny. He came on the show the first time, and I was like new to this space.
Okay.
Triggered.
Were you triggered?
No joke.
About what?
Dude, I was triggered by Andrew Tate talking about female self-defense. Oh, you got to go back. I did a takedown of myself, actually. I did a takedown of myself because I was like, wow, just to realize the amount of internalized nonsense that even I, someone, again, pro-life, stood up for men my whole life, want my guy, love masculinity,
right.
I still had some of that in me.
Female self-defense is kind of a joke, though.
Totally. Are you kidding me?
It is.
Please. It's like, my husband was like embarrassed when I did that. He's like, honey. And then
I date women that like, oh, yeah, I could defend myself against a man, but it's like, maybe not like you, but other men. I'm like, yeah, I would probably destroy you with one punch. And she was like, yeah, but other men can't. And I'm just like, like the argument is like so soft. It's like, most men can. Even men that are like skinnier than you can probably still take you out. That's pretty easily. That's such the sheer difference between men and women. And yeah, I agree. Self-defense classes and all these classes just preying on the weakness of women and just taking money from them.
And I sat down and I actually had to sit and talk with him, and like we discussed it, and I was like, you're right.
Yeah.
You're right. I got to go back.
I like Jenna. She was wrong. She internalized
I felt so strongly about what an idiot I had been that I wanted the audience to see it, so that we did that. But Rolo has come back since. We've had great discussions. He had a tweet up. Do you have that tweet, Angel, to pull up? Yes. Okay, so this is the picture. I'm tired of being looked at as a set of holes, and Rolo puts it on top of it. You can start by putting your clothes on.
Yeah.
So this is interesting to me because women oftentimes will demand respect just because.
Yeah.
They don't feel that they have to earn it in any way. They feel they can walk around half naked, and somehow if a guy makes a judgment about them as a result of the way they're carrying themselves and what they're wearing at all, if a guy says, oh, that looks like somebody who might be willing to have a one-night stand, they're offended in some way. Why is there no responsibility on women for their own behavior and actions in this society?
Oh, because they're the victims. They're the ones that are being extorted.
Yep.
They're the ones that the companies want to take money from. They're the ones that the politicians want votes for,
Correct.
So they tell them what they think they want to hear, and then next thing you know, they're following this terrible advice, and then they end up fat, single, lonely. Look at the body positivity movement, right? Like you're in fantastic shape, right? There are women who are like, well, I've had kids and I'm in my 40s and I'm in my 50s, so I'm allowed to weigh 200 pounds.
I'm 43 and I had a baby. He's 3. So there's no excuses, you know what I'm saying? But I work, I eat right. I do exercise. Thank you for saying that. But for me, it's not about, truthfully, like, oh, the visual. I'm married. I've got my husband. But it is also, for me, it's about like, I want to be here for this child as long as possible. It's my responsibility.
Yeah, it has visuals. You want to keep your husband interested too.
My job as a mom is to like be here for my husband, be here, be strong, be healthy. I also don't want to be, a victim of the big pharma scheme.
Yeah.
Same.
So there's that. But also I do think, truthfully, I'll get heat for this, of course, but I think as a woman, a guy falls in love with you and say you weigh, I don't know, 130 pounds and whatever it may be, if you balloon to 250,
God damn,
that guy's not allowed to say something. I mean, honestly, like, I'm sorry, but like, he should be able to say something about that. Number one, now you're disrespecting your body. You're obviously do not care about your own longevity in this family. It's not healthy. And number two, there is a component to a relationship that is attraction. So why can't that be? I just don't understand. If a guy balloons, you can say to him, "You're fat. You better go on a diet." All your friends can laugh at him. But if it's a woman, that guy has no voice to say, "Honey, like, listen, I married you, and you didn't look like."
This is like my other video. Like, you can't oppress the oppressors, and the people that are oppressed. Like, we can't do no wrong.
Put the Krispy Kreme down.
Yeah, like when a woman gains weight, like 30, 40 pounds, that's the equivalent of a man losing his job in a relationship.
Yeah.
Like, both are unacceptable. But I mean, if you ever see like the girls that they had there on the tweet there from Rolo, it's always girls that are like not that cute or a little ugly that are this big feminism component, right? This disenfranchised
it's the balance for the
because
ugly
at the end of the day,
chicks.
these
Typically
girls
overweight, significantly so.
They just want to be loved. They just want a man, and they're acting like this because they're advertising themselves as hoes. Like literally, you're completely naked, and you're like, I'm tired of being looked at as like a set of holes.
Okay,
like,
put some clothes on and go to the gym, honey.
You're advertising as holes. You know what I mean? So I mean, the cognitive dissonance is palpable.
Do we have chats? We're going to get to those, and then we're going to talk.
Yeah, I agree. It's funny how women always, how men dress is such a big deal, and how women see men, and it's funny that it's so the cognitive dissonance between the two of like, oh, isn't it the same way for us? And when we see you wear certain things, we have a certain idea of where you qualify in life. It's just like when you see a man in a suit, you just kind of think he's a little bit upper in life when you just happen to see him in a suit. But if you see a man in, tank top and basketball shorts, he probably isn't going to be the greatest of men to kind of go about, especially in public like that, right? This is what we see when women dress like a certain way, and then we obviously judge them that certain way because that's the look.
Talk about female psychology.
Yes, we do.
Angel's like, oh yeah.
Oh yeah. Okay, we got a lot. Shout out to Beaten Cheeks. He said Jed and MLD need to get on The View, teach these feminists a thing or two.
Oh, I was there already. I got thrown
rhyme.
off, so there was that. You can go on though.
Oh, I don't want to.
I lost that job real quick. Maybe this time I cannot ask Hillary Clinton a tough question and keep my job. Next.
Oh, that's right. I heard about that.
Yeah.
Awesome. Next we have shout out to David Jones, MLD. Do single moms in Japan appreciate the men who will take them on more than in the West? How are they different?
Being a single mom in Japan is like a death sentence.
Is it really?
It's just like,
I think it's like that in most countries.
You fucked up, lady.
I think Cambodia is very similar.
It's hard on them because it is like Japanese society. People in Japanese society die suddenly from overwork all the time, or they have a suicide.
It's not climate change over there causing that sudden death.
I don't know.
You know what I'm getting. You know what I'm getting.
I don't want to get your channel deleted. I'm a pure blood over here. I don't want to get your channel deleted, but they have to enter this fierce Japanese workforce and rear children by themselves, and it is hard. It is very, very hard for them. Extremely hard.
Angel.
Yes. All right. Shout out to Korahi. He said MMGF is the way to salvation. Thanks to MLD and the brothers in the men, he has helped many of us succeed in life.
Thank you.
Next, we have Jerry. He said, thank you for your journey, MLD. Jedediah, my sister, and I watch every one of your episodes together. Love it, and thank you.
Thank you. Oh, I'm getting all bashful.
I like Jetta. She's cool.
So next, we got David Jones again. He said, MLD, what would you say is the average body count for a Japanese woman around 25?
Ooh, depending on the girl, because there's hoes out there too. But like
they're everywhere.
Yeah, but it's like, I mean, I have met 25-year-old virgins out there.
I don't think I've met one here.
I would say, I don't
personally.
know, man. It's hard to say, but the more like domestic Japanese she is, typically the lower.
Probably harder for me to meet women like that because I live in LA. So the degeneracy in LA is much higher than those other places.
They understand it too. They're like, this is not okay. You know what I mean?
Yep.
All right. Next, we shout out to Mr. G Money. Said, what was Adam smoking for not wanting a virgin, and should we keep other guys from smoking it? MLD is the real G.
Oh, man. Maybe the same thing he was smoking when he wasn't worried about the World Economic Forum. I don't know. I'm going to have to get Adam on here.
No.
I'm going to have to get him on here.
With the red pill
We're going to
him.
have to go through the politics and the virginity stuff together. I'll help him out. Don't worry. You know I love you, Adam, if you're watching. I do love him.
All right, next, shout out to Milagros. She said, thank you, MLD and the Manosphere. I'm in my 20s with a man in his 40s. I was in a belligerent relationship and it made me miserable. The RP reminded me of my foundation. I need a higher, not an equal.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm. Next, we have
I like comments like that, especially from women in their 20s being able to find a good man like that. That makes my content. Damn, I need to find women like that so I can change some lives.
Lord Venom. He said, MLD, great to see you making the rounds, and this podcast is so much better than the one you did with Adam.
God.
They're on a roll.
Y'all got to get...
That was rough to watch. Adam can't host.
Oh, no. Adam's great. I love Adam. I love Adam.
No hate.
Please. Next, American Capitalist 90 said, other women with absolutely ruined it for their friends. My friend's happily married wife had a friends group of single women who kept pushing her to try new things, drugs, etc. 2 years later, she's divorcing him and is a wreck.
Yeah, that I hear a lot. I hear that a version of that story too.
That'd be similar to my version, except for the drugs, I think. Well, I actually don't know about the drugs. So.
What exactly?
Just, women hanging out with women who are, say a woman is married. Mm-hmm. She's hanging out with a bunch of single friends, getting involved in this, that. Maybe those friends are divorced, going through something, and suddenly her marriage falls apart. It's very common. Actually.
No, that's exactly what happened.
Statistically proven. Actually, if a friend of a friend has a divorce, there's a 33% chance that woman will get a divorce.
God, damn.
If it's a direct friend, I think it goes.
Fuck. Okay. I guess more red flags then, because my ex's two best friends that she kept in contact with the most, one was a Thai woman and one's a Vietnamese woman, and she happens to be Vietnamese, both got divorced recently, like maybe a year or two before my divorce. So, you learn things.
Goes up to like 66%. Wow. Yeah, no, this is like when I find out, like, there's like, if I'm dating a girl and I find out all her friends are breaking up, I'm like, all right, like, get away from those girls, because they're going back to the streets.
Yeah.
And I think people don't seem to realize this, but who you spend time with absolutely is who you become.
That's right.
Whether you want to believe it or not.
No, it's 100% true. That's why I'm always like, be careful who you let into that inner circle.
No hoe friends.
2 more.
Yeah, 2 more? Okay, quick. And then we're going to do, thank you, Angel. And then we'll do a couple more on psychology.
Sounds great. Shout out to Brandon M. Said, it's great to hear MLD interviewed and talk without a bunch of crackling hens. Hot dude army. And
I agree. I watched them on the Whatever's podcast, and fuck, these women just have no respect.
B. Shout out to the Smoking Patriot. Said, only reason I want to legally marry my girlfriend is so she has the legal rights to any benefits I have. God forbid I pass too early.
That's a good man.
That I do worry about a lot. I worried about that with my last marriage, and I still worry about that now. That is a big deal for me. Like premature death, leaving all this debt for my significant other and my kids. That's a no-go for me.
Interesting. Wow. All right. Thank you, everyone. And we will check back in the chat at the close as well. So if you have more questions, comments, get them in there. All right. This was an interesting tweet. This is the second one, Angel, on female psychology. We'll put it up so that you can see it as well. It says in quotes, Mike is such an asshole. He flirts with other girls in front of me. Why can't I find a good guy? Good guy appears. Oh, wait, Mike's calling me. Yes, babe, I'll be there in 10 minutes. So this idea that these women say, oh, I would never, I want the good guy. I want the good guy. I want the really good guy. And then the good guy shows up and they're bored and they're chasing after the guy who's not giving them time.
Right.
Talk to me about that.
Well, I mean, you can't judge a woman by what she says. You got to judge her by what she does, right? If you have a chick that's constantly like, oh, my ex was toxic and this ex was toxic and that one's ex was toxic, like, okay, you like toxic guys.
Or you're toxic.
Or that too, right?
You know?
And probably, honestly, the root of that is probably coming from a broken household where mom and dad were fighting. If you ever do your due diligence and do your research as to why a girl is acting a certain way, always look at her family, right?
Yeah.
Is she coming from a divorced household? Was dad there? Was he an asshole? Was he beating mom? Was he drinking, right? And 9 times out of 10, when you have like bad behaviors in the children, it came from the parents. You know what I mean? So, I mean, this situation here, it's kind of cliche when they say like, oh, you know, like she says one thing, but she does another. But I mean, it happens all the time. And how you actually solve this is just look at her actions. Like I tell guys, if you're going to date a girl seriously, you need to vet her for at least 18 months minimum.
18
Agreed.
months.
I actually agree. Vet her for 18 months and then like 2 to 3 years total of being with this person before you get married.
They're not doing that. Guys aren't doing that. Not
They
even
aren't.
close.
They aren't, but they should, right?
What does vetting mean? What does that process look like?
A woman could put up a good act for 6 months.
Correct.
Oh, yeah.
But then, you know, there's eventually chinks
There's
in the
a leak.
armor. There's a chinks in the armor. You start to see what's really happening. And then you're like,
He's right. They can only be a chimera for so long. They can only pretend to be good for so long because it's not in their nature to be that way. So you just gotta like string them along until either that armor falls off or a piece of it falls off, or that's who they are, which takes time.
oh, so this is who you are.
So what in that period of time that you call vetting, what should guys be looking for specifically?
Well, you want a woman that is just going to have your back. That's my number one thing, because women leave relationships left and right these days.
They do?
Yeah.
Right? I mean, they ghost people. They block them. They treat men like they're not humans. And that's just absolutely reprehensible behavior, right? So I just tell a guy, like, look for a woman that's going to be understanding. Look for a woman that's going to be supportive. Look for a woman that when you're down and out, she's still there for you, right? I was dating a girl for a long time. I was dating her for like 4 years, and there was a point where I was like literally a loser. I was just like, I had lost my job. I had lost my business that I started. And like at one time, like we went to the beach on a weekend, and she wanted to pay for like our $45 dinner. And like, I just didn't have the money. And I was just like seething internally. Like, I am such a fucking loser. And I was so
Women, this is how men feel when they cannot take care of their women. They don't feel good. We don't feel good. When there's money issues or whatever arises and we're the breadwinners, internally we are fucked up because we're scrambling to figure out how to fucking fix this issue. We're scrambling to figure out all these things to keep things correct for our significant other.
Embarrassed that she had to do this, but she paid it. She held me down. And like, I carried that guilt for like 2 years. And then when I finally made it big, I just like bought her whatever she wanted. But you want a woman that likes you for you. A lot of guys go for the woman that they like, but you got to go for the woman that likes you.
That likes you.
You know?
Yeah.
100% agree. 100% agree. I've dated plenty of different women now after my divorce. There's women that really like me, and then there's women that I really like. It's always been a different type of dynamics between the two.
Yep. I did this the other day on here. I was talking about how, yes, I'm not saying don't buy nice things for your girl. I'm not saying, don't take them out to a nice dinner, but you need a girl who is going to be happy as all hell if you take her away on a trip and it's just you and her and there's nothing fancy. Right. It has to, at the end of the day, you have to be enough.
Yes.
And you will, if a girl really likes you, you will be enough. You will notice the difference between that girl and someone who's there for the stuff.
Yeah, exactly. I had a beautiful, like, half Japanese, half Brazilian girlfriend. And I remember she was just so down for me. And at the beginning of the relationship, I was like, man, what is this bitch up to? Like, because I wasn't
not used to it.
I wasn't used to this. This was like my first year in Japan. I was like, what's this chick's angle? And I was like, all right, like, I have time, but I only have 2 hours. And the only thing near my house is McDonald's. She's like, okay, I'll meet you there. And I was just like,
oh, no joke.
And this girl's a model. Like, she showed up. She's a beautiful model. And she goes with me, and we literally ate at McDonald's. And this, like, I went home, like, rethought my life. I was just like, what did I just experience?
Yeah.
But I was at the time, I was pretty young. I was like 27. And so that was like 10 years ago. So I was looking at that versus like my American relationships and other relationships that I've been in with women in Japan that didn't have what we like to call in the red pill space and manosphere, like she didn't have genuine desire for me.
Oh, Rolo talks about that all the time.
Right.
Yep,
you know, genuine desire.
Yep.
You want a woman who has genuine desire for you, not for your Ferrari, not for your house,
right.
not for your 401k, not for your Bitcoin, right? But for you.
It's when a woman is really into a guy, it's so powerful.
Yes.
I mean, it's really like, we will do and die for you. Yeah. You are enough. Like, I will always say, like, a woman would rather be with a guy she's really attracted to and really into in a hut than a guy she's not attracted to and not into in a palace, because that attraction is so important for a woman.
It is.
Yeah.
It's like, it's not, you can have all the money in the world. If she doesn't want to sleep with you, if she's not physically attracted to you, it's eventually there's going to be a glitch in that machine.
Yeah. And that ability to be deeply in love with your man gets eroded away the more dick she takes, the higher her body count. Like, you know, you just fry out the receptors and they get jaded. You know what I mean? There's like, the data is clear. Like, the girls who sleep around, they have higher levels of depression, higher levels of anxiety, higher levels of just genuine dissatisfaction with themselves. And when you're unhappy with yourself, when you're constantly anxious, you're constantly depressed, how can you even function happily in a relationship?
Right.
You know, your personal judgment is clouded.
And they're used to a revolving door.
Yes.
They're used to that dynamic of like come and go and just like, so that becomes their norm, you know, and they're not used to like actually building with someone, going through the ups and downs, providing that support.
Yeah.
It's like one foot is always out the door, particularly now, I think, with social media and how like women get so much attention.
Yeah.
They always feel like, oh, well, I'm happy, but happier could be right there. So I'm going to just leave that door open.
Yeah.
It's a real big problem, actually, the technology. Interesting when you were talking, and I'll let you respond to this, but when you were talking also about Japan, I was thinking, I wonder like if technology and the fact that there as well, women can be on all of these channels, you know, they can be out there everywhere at one time. Is that compromising, you know, the values of these individual countries and places and cultures that do actually value traditional values? You know, the girl goes on Instagram and suddenly it's like, you know, is it that much different?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think overall, if you're going to weigh out the positives and negatives of social media, I think the negatives just way outweigh the positives, you know? But it's kind of, we're in the situation right now, and it is what it is. But like, going back to like what I was saying with the body count and stuff, when these girls are constantly on these social media platforms, they're constantly being, you know, hit up by
DMs.
In the DMs, sending likes, sending comments. And with these girls, they always have one foot out the door. Like, how are you going to commit? You know what I mean? A lot of these girls, you said they get conditioned into like, you know, thinking like the solution to their problems is just at the end of another new dick. Like, they literally think like, I'm just going to find a new guy.
That way.
Yes.
You know? And like, you are in a relationship. How long have you been married?
5 years in February.
And how long have you guys been dating?
I want to say 8.5.
So 13 years total.
Yeah.
And
No. 5 years married,
Okay.
and then an additional three plus.
Okay.
Yeah.
During those 8 years, I'm sure there were good times and I'm sure there were bad times, ups and downs.
I mean, every relationship, right? But
Yeah.
I mean, we truthfully, like, we're pretty good. But like, of course, in the course of a day, like, will we see things differently sometimes? Sure.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, what I'm trying to say, I'm not trying to paint your marriage in a bad light.
No, I get it.
But I'm trying to say is like, a lot of people, because we live in this TLDR generation, right? Like, people don't wait 4 seconds for a website to load.
Yeah.
Instagram shorts, or Instagram Reels, YouTube Shorts, TikToks, right? These are all conditioning us to be wanting instant satisfaction, instant gratification, right? And people are thinking relationships are like that, and it's just not the same. Like, you have to work things out. And this is for men too, because a lot of guys are like, oh, this girl doesn't act right. You know, she's next. I got to next her hard. And that's just not the solution. Now, you do have to have boundaries, and you do have to have a certain level of tolerance. But I feel like modern females nowadays, they have the delusion to think that they're inboxed with all those dudes.
Right.
Each guy is a perfect guy.
Correct.
Right.
But that's just not the case
And
at all.
because they're largely promiscuous, they're comfortable just being like, oh, this is done. I'm going to hop over here. Like that. I wasn't, again, like when I invested in something, it was it felt like really important to me because I hadn't had that revolving door ever.
Right.
So it's just a different vibe. Interesting. I also, it's interesting, when I met my husband, he'll remember this. I remember he had there was a girl that he had went to college with or something, and I remember her being in a relationship with someone, and they were serious, and she would go on other guys' Instagrams, hearts, like all this weird stuff, and I remember sitting him down and being like, this girl's shady. This is not appropriate. It's disrespectful what's going on. And I see that too. I see these girls they're in relationships. I'm like, what are you heart liking? That is, keep that for your man. Like, it's nothing sacred to you girls anymore. It's like, and I think that also is part of that, like, they spread themselves thin all those years, this, that, everybody's in the phone. It's like you start dating a guy, but you don't cut off contacts with other people you hooked up with. It's just all so nasty to me.
Yeah, it is.
God, I need a DeLorean to go back in time.
And I think a big part of that too is like, I just think they genuinely don't know. That's why I think like women like
this
you.
This is all they know. Yeah.
No, like women like you are important. Like, you really have to teach them. That's how this is going to get changed. We have to teach them like this is not okay, because women think like, yeah, it's okay to be okay, like friends with my ex. But if a guy is keeping in touch with his ex-girlfriends, that girl is just like livid. She's like,
because they know that's not, it's a tricky situation. I did a whole thing on the other day.
Yeah, they know, but they still want it. So it's a double standard.
Oh no! And they spend quality time alone with them. Nope. Honey, no, come on.
No.
I mean, no.
No guy's okay with that.
No, and you have to know. Like, the other problem is, like, the guys say, well, if I speak up for myself, I'm going to lose her. Okay, you know what? Then you'll lose her, and you're going to also lose a headache along with that.
Exactly. So. Yeah, I tell that to a lot of guys. They're afraid to lose their women, and they sacrifice this is what Hold Frame is about, right? They break their internal boundaries. They break their internal code in order to keep the woman, but ultimately what they're doing is just guaranteeing that the woman's going to leave.
Right, 100%.
How was that, Chow? I love MLD and I love Jetta. This is two great people that were doing the interviews with each other. Like I said, I watch Jetta a lot more now, and then MLD, I'm starting to get into his content, and I watched him on a couple other podcasts with other women, and it's just horrible. This was a great conversation back and forth. Great information was exchanged. I think if women watch this particular episode, they might learn some things here and there. And so, hey, do what women need to do, and men, we need to do what we need to do. So please like and subscribe down below. I'd really appreciate that, and I'll catch you guys next time. It's chow time.